Hey everybody, welcome back to another vendor update. This one will be our first one for 2025. So exciting that we're starting 2025 with a whole bunch of new vendor updates. And of course, this one is from one of our favorite sponsors, Compliance Scorecard. So let me go ahead and bring up Tim Golden from Compliance Scorecard. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing great. It is going to be a wonderful new year.
I can't believe we're already in 2025. This is a little mind-boggling. Like looking back over the last, 50 years? Okay, I don't want to say how old I am. I'm pretty amazed at like just how far us as an MSP community have come. Sure, we still have a long way to go, but I'm really excited to see what 2025 and the years down the road have to come. So it's 2025, amazing.
Yeah, I know. And this has been a pretty busy year for both All Things MSP and Compliance Scorecard. Now, I know that a lot of people in the group already know who Compliance Scorecard is, who you are, but for the people who don't, go ahead and tell us who you are and what Compliance Scorecard is.
Sure, thanks for that. I'm Tim Golden, founder and CEO of Compliance Scorecard, where we help your MSP have the risk conversation with your clients. As a governance as a service or compliance as a service platform, we can help you identify those gaps and work side by side with your customers to remediate gaps, build out policies and procedures, and build a compliance as a service offering just for you and your MSP. And now with professional services to help you along the way. We'll get into that in a few minutes.
Yeah, and that's part of the excitement that you guys have had for 2024. So let's talk about some of the things that have happened in 2024. You guys had a rebrand, or was that late 2023?
Yeah, 2023 into 24. So we started that kind of November-ish, but as somebody that has gone through four rebrands now in 18 plus, 20 plus months, it's kind of been a wild ride, but it really actually is best long term. You know, when we first started, I was trying to figure out, like everybody else, who are we? What do we want to be? I didn't want to be that compliance guy. And as we started building on the platform and actually building out scorecards, it made total sense. And when you think about one of our previous iterations, compliance risk, both of those words tend to be a little scary to MSPs. And so, you know, with our good friends, in our marketing department and a little nudge from, Arnie Bellini, the marketing guru and IT guru of decades, we kind of pulled into Compliance Scorecard. And it really made sense because everybody understands scorecards.
Right. And I really think that it made it much more obvious what you guys do for the MSP.
Yeah. Out of all the books that I've read, Story Brand, Finding Your Why, I could list all these great books, all the, great marketing kind of material I've tried to learn along the way. One of the single, most important things is understanding your brand and having that brand resonate with your ideal customer profile, right? And so, yeah, it just made total sense. Like we were building scorecards. So, oh my gosh, compliancescorecard.com is available. Go figure. The stars aligned and all the things worked out. Do you want to give a little shout out to my great friend, Matt Fox? He's now working over there with Tom Lawrence, another good friend of the channel. Matt helped us come up with our first iteration of our logo, Christmas Eve, over Slack while watching Die Hard. So always have to thank Matt in the very beginning of this, trying to figure out our logo and our colors. Obviously, we've iterated since then, but always want to shout out to Matt for helping us there along the way.
Well, and I'm also glad to know that there are other people out there who believe in Die Hard as a Christmas movie, because my family just won't accept that fact.
Yeah, we always have the debate, is it not? But that's okay, because that year, it was a good Christmas movie, because yippee-ki-yay, we have a new logo.
There you go. Now, you also had some new hires this year, so let's run through those.
Yeah. So, sales, not my strong suit, right? Obviously, having to do it and kind of building out that team, building out that client success team as well. Bringing Desiree in, she has such great experience on working together and relationship building and that client success and the conferences. She was a really great, or is a really great, shouldn't say should, she is a really great addition to our team when it comes to leading that relational building. I mean, let's face it, we're all, as MSPs, we're relational beings, and is a really great fit for that. And kind of, an extension of who I am, that relational being, right? It's hard to find those kinds of people. So,
right. But those tend to be the kind of people who tend kind of excel in this community, right?
They do.
Because this community is more about relationships than transactions.
Exactly. And that is how I want to continue to build and grow Compliance Scorecard as a relational based organization, right? And, we're heading into 25. We're talking about goals for next year. We're talking about all that fun stuff. And I don't want to be this corporate, stuffy, overbearing. Now, we have to have certain things in place, of course, but I'm sitting here and we're writing, reviewing our corporate policies. And I'm like, I don't ever want to be where I came from, that overbearing, over corporate, you're just a number organization ever again. So I want to make sure that our culture maintains that. So we went from Desiree to Austin, right? Austin, amazing, super smart, got one of his compliance certifications, kind of leading and helping that sales process, really understanding the MSPs at a deep level and bringing him on. I mean, we always talk about the right person in the right seat at the right time.
Yep.
And I struggled because I was the wrong person in too many seats. And so now with Austin and Desiree and our new VP of sales, David Pirtle from ConnectWise, we kind of have that trifecta on that side of the house. The development, product management, it's kind of been my thing for 30 years. So we kind of have that handled.
Right.
And then, there's the big announcement that quite a few months in the works, but actually rolled out just a week or two ago. And that's bringing on Brian Blakely. Brian is I like to say the peanut butter to my jelly, but I'm not supposed to use those words. He's hand in glove, yin and yang, all the things. But he really, complements a side of me that I probably need to get better at and learn from, that calm, cool, collected, brilliant, thoughtful, good people. So we do balance each other out quite well. So we're excited to bring him on. Like, this team is growing and growing. In fact, literally today, we just made another job offer that they just accepted. And we have 4 or 5 more positions in the works.
Nice. Well, it's good to see that you guys are growing, because I think that compliance overall is such a critical piece to the future of MSP. And I really think that 2025, we're going to see more growth in that area among MSPs than we've ever seen in years previous.
Yeah. People tend to, we did a survey a while back, what's the biggest thing? And they're afraid. They're afraid of getting it wrong. They're afraid of what they don't know. And the reality is that's why we exist, right? Yes, we have an amazing platform to help manage all of that and do that work at scale for an MSP. But now, by bringing Brian in, adding those professional services with the I do, you do, we do. Okay, I'm not supposed to use those words either, but I did. Bringing those professional services to work alongside the MSPs and help alleviate the burden of not having the staff, the fear of not knowing what to do or how to do it. it is really a great opportunity for MSPs to partner. And we work with you and your customer. We're not there to steal your customer, right? We're never going to be that Microsoft where they come in and side door you. I was an MSP for years. I know how that happens with vendors. And our pledge is to never do that. It's to either work with you, work alongside you, or if you choose to, have us do all the work, but you are still billing the customer, not us. It is still your client to maintain and your relationship to continue to grow.
And I want to dig into something you said. You used the word fear.
Yeah.
And I think that's very true. But what most MSPs need to understand is that there's a lot of profit, usually, in things that other people are not willing to do. And so if you are willing to take on the yoke of compliance for your customers and engage somebody like Compliance Scorecard to be able to do compliance for your customers, you're going to be offering something that other people are afraid to do. And therefore, you can usually command a premium for it.
Absolutely. So, for the first probably 3 to 5 years, we've been saying compliance is coming. For the last 2 to 3 years, we've been saying compliance is here. I mean, just look at CMMC. That's final. It's good to go. We're going to hit that January 2025. It isn't going anywhere. In fact, it's a great differentiator for you as an MSP to be able to start to offer those services as a premium, right? We talk good, better, best, add-ons, while it is about generating and doubling your revenue at your MSP, it's even more so about building that defensibility in yourself and in your customer. Because when the crap hits the fan, you can show, hey, listen, we're doing our diligence. We started. Right. We're not 100% compliant on day one, but we have things in place. We're moving that needle and building that defense along the way.
We got a little off track there with the why MSP should be doing compliance. However, I think it's super important and a major message that every MSP needs to hear. But going back to 2024, you guys won some awards this past year.
Oh, yeah, you can probably see a few above me on the shelf. It always feels awkward when I talk about accolades and awards. In fact, there was a recent LinkedIn post where one of the things I need to do is be able to accept thank you and understand, wow, this is something really cool. Whether it's best in show or, the CompTIA, leadership award or whatever. There's a whole boatload of them. You can see them on our website. But, it really does affirm that the community at large kind of agrees with what we're doing. It's not a thing we bought and paid for, right? It is a thing that we earned, which is a different LinkedIn post I talked a lot about. There are a lot of pay for play kind of awards out there. And the awards that we've won haven't been that. They have been through hard work through our team and effort that they've put in. And I'm really excited that the MSP community has noticed that, recognized that. So thank you.
It is a validation, right? That you are doing the right things and that those things are being seen by the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is validation, and it still feels a little weird.
So you guys had another milestone this year, and that was buying Privacy MSP. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, Brian Blakely, kind of started Privacy MSP. He's been at a bunch of different pro services, bought and sold and exited and done the things. And when I started Compliance Scorecard, one of the things that I did before our, big financial investment from Arnie Bellini was I would work with an MSP. I would generate some money and I would pay for a thing. And then I'd do that again. And then I'd do that again. But I noticed that Tim doesn't scale by himself. I couldn't do that work by himself. And so I focused the first, 18 months, year or so on let's get the platform going. Let's build the community, knowing all the while that this thing was lingering over here. MSPs were asking for help. And so, when Brian approached us about kind of working together and realizing how much, need is there from the MSP community, it just was a perfect match, right? So building out that professional services division with Brian at the helm, like I said, peanut butter to jelly, hand in glove. And we have 3 packages, actually a 4th. We'll talk about those really quickly. So you've probably heard the term "get your house in order," right? It's buzzwords we've used a lot. Like I want to eat my own dog food, drink my own champagne, all the things. Our Kickstart program is a 12-week step-by-step. Oh my gosh, is it a 12-step program? I didn't even think of that till just now. Anyways, it is a 12-week program where we literally sit with you as the MSP and walk you through every single week. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. And we're going to work with you, hand in glove so that you have your own house in order. Oh, and by the way, now that you have your own house in order and you are defensible, one-click deploy to your customer. Just saying, you've built that investment in your own self, and now you can truly bring compliance as a service to your customers and do it at scale. That's our Kickstart that just launched. The day we launched, we already signed up 2 people. So we're really excited for the Kickstart. The other 3 packages, good, better, best, is we work with you, for you, or alongside you. It is going to be custom tailored to you and your client that has a specific compliance need. So let's say, I don't know, you have a CMMC customer and you're freaked out and have no idea what to do. We got you. We can do it all for you. We can do some flavors of it. Good, better, best.
And that really is what settles that fear problem that we talked about earlier. It takes that heavy lifting. It takes the responsibility of having in-house knowledge and moves it to Compliance Scorecard, but allows you to still get it done under your banner, under your logo, and most importantly, just get it done so that, again, use that word, defensible.
Yeah. Well, it also, listen, I was an MSP. I loved playing with, tools and gadgets and SaaS things and all of that stuff. And 2FA and antivirus and Sentinel, all the things that I'm really good at. But the whole process and compliance and documentation and gap, it was scary. Now we can come in and just like you augment the IT staff at your end customer, we're going to come in and augment your staff. We're going to pretend to be you, work with you, right? And kind of help you fill in the gaps in your own stuff, just like you do with your customers.
Yep. And especially for the small to medium-sized MSPs who literally just can't justify having those full-time positions on staff.
And even more so, since we bill you, you can mark it up and bill your customer.
Right. Well, from a business standpoint, it makes sense that way as well, right? So you're actually, it's kind of a win-win-win for the MSP, because it's going to drive more revenue, drive more profitability. It's going to get the responsibility of having those headcounts off of you. And then it's also going to give you the defensibility.
Yep. They say, or I'm supposed to use the words, double your revenue and reduce your risk. I don't know. The word may or may not, it's starting to resonate with me, but that's the idea, is reducing your risk, building your defensibility, and obviously lead to more revenue. I could talk a lot about pro services. It's been there since day one. It is how I founded the company. It is the work that I did in my MSP. And now we just want to bring that to you, to help you, to train you, to get you as the MSP up and running and going, empower you to go do this. Let's do a few of them together. We've set that stage, and now you can be successful.
Yeah, I think that this is kind of the missing piece for the MSP world, is that there have been companies, larger companies that do compliance, that have professional services, but they are so high end and have such a high end price tag, it's priced out of the SMB market that
It is.
MSPs typically serve. And
Mhm.
that's why I think this is really going to be such an advantage to Compliance Scorecard and the MSPs that it serves, is the ability to bring this level of professional services down to the affordability of the small to medium sized business.
Thank you for saying that, because that is part of our message, right? We want to ensure that we not only do we provide optimal services, but that you as the MSP are providing optimal services and get paid for it along the way, right? And making sure, I'll give you, for example, you have a Johnny's Lug Nut. I always use Johnny's Lug Nut. I need to come up with one. They're a multi-million-dollar government contract, but they also recognize they're, didn't budget for CMMC. They don't have the understanding of what it takes to maintain that program. When you see these other organizations going in with a 40 or 50 or $80,000 gap assessment, like, that's just a gap analysis. Now, I don't even talk about all the fixing and all the other stuff. I forget the stat. What is it? 98% of the U.S. economy is businesses under like 100 or 20, even 20 people.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
And whatever the stat is, don't quote me, but the idea of those micro businesses, don't understand it, have never thought about budgeting for it, could possibly put them out of business because of it. So we wanted to make sure that we were as right priced as we can be while still being profitable ourselves and allowing the MSP to be profitable too.
Yeah. And that's important across the board, right? Because we're all here to make money. And part of that is making sure that we reduce the risk to that profitability.
Absolutely. De-risking, de-risking, de-risking. And we say that a lot in this space.
I'm sure you do. So, Tim, what's in store for Compliance Scorecard in 2025?
Well, we're all doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on development, on API connectors. Hey, little secret, depending on when this one comes out, we just launched an integration for security awareness training scorecard with our good friends Symbol, but hopefully around the 6th, don't hold me to the timeline, we will have an integration for security awareness training with Huntress. So
Very
there's,
nice.
there's a lot of big integrations that we're working on, some that were promised that took longer to figure out, some that are in the works and hopefully will be ready in the next week or 2 or 3. But here's the thing. MSPs have a stack of tools that run their business, that run their clients, that run their stuff. When we look at the GRC tool space, our big focus is let's tie into the tools that you are already using and get the data when and where appropriate to actually prove when and where appropriate compliance checks. Because you can't check it all, but there's some that we can. So big development enhancements, doubling down on the professional services to really help augment the MSPs and their staff, and a big educational push. I'm really excited to start putting out, educational content with Brian and I and other guests along the way, right? Maybe we'll have you on, Eric.
Happy
It'll
to
be
do
a
it.
really good opportunity for MSPs to follow our YouTube and our LinkedIn and learn, because we want to do it differently. We want to make sure that we are handing you something tangible every single week with what we're doing on our educational content. Taking the brain trust of almost 40 years combined and whoever other the guests are, and giving that back to the MSP community so that you all can be successful. So to break it down, product development, education, and making sure that we're right sizing for the MSPs so that they can double their revenue.
Well, Tim, again, thank you so much for doing this today. I love it when I have you guys on because there's always something happening at Compliance Scorecard. And I hope that with those new integrations coming relatively soon, we can do another one of these updates and talk about some of those integrations and how they actually help the MSP and Compliance Scorecard get all of that proof in one spot to make sure that their compliance is in order.
It's kind of funny because if you look back, not even 18 months, 12 months ago, we went from version 2 to December 30th. We're on version 7. And when we do a major dot release like that, it is usually a major piece of functionality.
That's a lot of work. As somebody who's worked closely with dev and has a little bit of dev experience myself, that is just stupid fast.
It is. We have a good team, and I've been writing code for 30 years, so we can iterate and pivot quickly and efficiently, but also appropriately. There's a few integrations that aren't done that are taking a lot longer, and there's always bumps along the way, and we appreciate everybody's patience as we kind of grow through all of those, our own internal pain points.
All right, Tim. So if somebody wants to reach out to Compliance Scorecard, what's the best way to do that?
ComplianceScorecard.com or on LinkedIn. You can find me. You can we're here. We're like Roy Kent. We're here. We're there. We're everywhere. If you can't find Compliance Scorecard, then we've done something wrong.
Exactly. All right. Yeah. And look forward to all that great content that you guys are going to come out with this year. Cause I kind of love content and that's what I live for. And I just love promoting it. So when you guys get some of that content rolling, make sure you're promoting it in the group.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.